Thanks for checking in to Pivoting to Web3 podcast. Go to pivotingtoweb3podcast.com to download and listen, or Web3 Game Plan to check out the videos. Thank you. That's good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome to Pivoting to Web3. And today we have Carlos Matz. And Carlos has a very diverse background. He has so much information and so much experience in design, technology, arts, and media. He's done quite a bit in regards to Jarvis, IKA, and I'm going to let him explain all the rest because he's got a lot going on, and I'm excited to talk to him so I can learn exactly what he's doing and bringing to us today. So with that said, Carlos, say hello to your audience and ours, and thank you for being on Pivoting to Web3.
Thank you, Donna. How are you? Thank you so much for your time, and I'm pretty excited to be in your podcast. I am Carlos Matz. I am a technologist, artist, designer, and the creator of IKA, which is basically the Jarvis in real life with a beautiful three-dimensional conversational interface that looks like, the interfaces that we see in science fiction movies, but we are in 2025 already, so we are already in the future. We already have those type of interfaces and capabilities. So yeah, I've been in innovation for 20 years. I started designing in the early web 1.0 times, and then transitioned to web 2.0, and I got into VR. I'm even created a short film in Amsterdam. I'm basically fusing art and technology, and that middle ground, that fusion is basically what we do. And I created two companies through it. The first one's Xchematic when I was like 20 years old. And then the culmination of all that experience led me to create this new system called IKA, which is my new company. And yeah, that's a little bit about me.
So tell me a little bit more about IKA, your new company. How does that impact the evolution of Web3? Or give us a little bit more, or paint the picture for us exactly what IKA is. How do I pronounce it correctly?
IKA.
IKA. Oh, I did say it correctly. Tell us
Yeah.
exactly the functionality, the capability. What does it do? Why is it important? Help us understand why you decided to start a new company.
Thank you. So in every technological revolution, the user interfaces change. We remembered back in the days of DOS, when we had DOS, and then we transitioned from, that was only text, basically. All the commands were in text, but you had a file system behind it. It's just that you can visualize it, right? But in your mind, the hierarchy of your thought was that it was a file system. However, you couldn't see it until Windows and the Apple revolution of the personal computer happened, that you could actually visualize what that text meant in a graphical user interface way. That's the personal computer revolution, where the user interface has changed. And then we have the mobile revolution, where we have like companies like BlackBerry, which are purely text, right? But there's a lot of meaning behind that text that was not realized until the iPhone came out, and all those ideas of apps and file system and like the interaction between all the systems like materialize in a beautiful user interface, that multi-touch that everybody just understood. That's the second example of a user interfaces changing when technology itself changes. And now we are on the another wave, on the biggest wave maybe, where we have the AI revolution, and we're going to have to interface with computers and data very differently now. Like now we can talk to computers, we can talk to our systems, and they understand, they're intelligent, and they talk back, and they have context of everything that goes on in our work and in our lives. So, and we still use them as chat. We still use them as text.
Right.
So we're again back in the DOS era, back in the BlackBerry era. Now we're in the Chat GPT era, that is the before the real user interface era of artificial intelligence. So we're still in the before, is what I'm trying to say.
Yes.
So IKA, we created the after. That's what we did with IKA. We created a beautiful user interface where you get the meaning of the three-dimensional shape that it gives to the rest of your connections to your projects, to your tasks, to your databases, to your CRM, to your ERP. You connect it to anything, to everything, and it creates the central brain for your company, right? So you can conversationally interact with your company directly, like retrieving information that would have taken you and your employees 3.5 months to do it, or 3 weeks. You do it in 72 seconds. If you want to actually deploy some or execute some program, you would have to wait 6 months to actually 2 months to plan it. No, IKA plans everything. It has the connections with every ERP, CRM, and every database that you have connected it to, and it executes it as well. So it became this like artificial general intelligence user interface that we have created.
So with that said, first, GUI. Is GUI the old term, the GUI? You had mentioned the user interface. That is the old term back from DOS days, when DOS went into the next phase. Okay, so I know what you're talking about there. So I want to make sure that this is clear, not only for myself, but everybody else out there that's learning. At the end of the day, so now it sounds like what you've created has a lot of artificial intelligence, and it can do so much very quickly. Is that like all these assistants we're seeing with AI and people creating GPTs and all the intelligence and the deep learning and machine learning and everything all together at once, and you can have different departments, but it's all artificial intelligence?
So imagine all that you have just mentioned being the DOS era of AI, because it's all text. It doesn't have the context of where that text belongs to inside of the context of a project, or where that information belongs to in the sense of the context of the hierarchy of a company. You lose that context of everything when you only treat everything as just purely text. All these assistants are only text. What we have created is the shape of the meaning behind all those connections of data. So you see everything in 3 dimensions. And I think it's better if I show you.
Show us? Yes, let's show.
Of course. So this is IKA.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine your company like a brain, a live organism, where each department is a node in this 3-dimensional shape. And each synapse between departments is real-time agents, AI agents working for you, or humans communicating between each other. So you can see everything in 3 dimensions, how they connect to each other and how they communicate with each other. That context. You can go into marketing. You can see the sub departments of marketing here, the people that are there, tasks that are there, right? So I can see everything 3-dimensionally and I can talk to it. We are 3-dimensional creatures. We live in 3 dimensions. That's how our brain works. And we actually have developed this layer on top of that, which is language, where I can go, IKA, create a new task every Tuesday morning inside of marketing called campaign review.
Here you go.
There you go.
Wow.
So it takes me to the marketing node and it opens up a timeline for that node and it creates a task that I told it in the recurrence that I told it. So it's like a 4-dimensional Gantt in this example. This is a video task.
Outstanding for project management.
Exactly. It's photography.
So how did you know to do and bring it all together like this? What training and what, as you kept progressing and you kept learning, how did you know to tie it all together like this?
So thankfully, I think my brain works 3-dimensionally. I look everything in a 3-dimensional way, and a lot of our brains do the same. That's when I show IKA to people. It's like, that's how I think. I think like into little buckets, because, for example, I can go into marketing. I can create a new node right here. So I can go into that node and deposit some stuff inside of that node, and we can have IKA create nodes, or show me my development task for the week.
Done.
Ask it to show you tasks. Create a new node, create a new node inside of sales called outbound.
Node created.
There you go. And you can create more nodes. You can add tasks to your nodes, or add definitions. Or if you connected to a CRM or an ERP, it becomes way more powerful because you give it context, right? So for example, this is going to be in Spanish, but I can ask it the response is going to be in Spanish, but this is a restaurant chain, and you can ask it like the sales discrepancies of the days, because all the chain is connected, and you can go, IKA, show me the sales discrepancies for today.
Estas son las discrepancias de ventas de hoy.
So these are all the chain of restaurants, and the ones in red is have the sales discrepancies between how much they have sold and how much they actually have in cash. And you can see here the process that needs to be done to, resolve that discrepancy. And, step 1, step 2, everybody in real time, just communicating. You can go into the communications here. Ika, show me that process.
Este es el proceso de cuadre de ventas diario.
The departments that are connected. So we have basically created the real life Jarvis. Like, this is a clip that I like you to show you. This is the movie.
Jarvis, you up?
For you, sir, always.
I'd like to open a new project file, indexed as Mark II.
Shall I store this on the Staff Industry Central database?
Just don't know who to trust right now. Till further notice, why don't we just keep everything in my private server?
Working on a secret project, are we, sir?
That was going to be
Well,
my next question. All of this is private too at the same time. It's not out there in the open.
Exactly.
Is
This
it
is
still-
your data.
Is it still called firewalls in the AI world, when you separate firewalls or the protection? What is it called in today's Web3? Or do
So
they
in
consider it
AI,
like a
in AI we call it a local agentic RAG, local agentic retrieval augmented generation, basically.
Okay.
That's what we call it. So yeah, that's IKA. We have created a 3-dimensional.
So this
Hey.
seems to me that this would take a lot of information, and really you have your people, processes,
Yeah.
and everything you need right there.
Yeah, you have
And you can
your
really give the best customer service no matter what
you
you're
have the
doing.
events, tasks, projects, people, bookmarks, files. You can connect your Google Drive to it.
Ooh.
And yeah, you can connect your Google Drive to it, and then it's going to present all your files down here as well, and you can drag and drop your files and everything. You can ask it stuff. This is the history of prompts that you have it, all the neurons, because we call it neurons. These are it's like a brain.
Mhm.
Each one of those nodes is, we call it a neuron. So we can have sub-neurons.
So does this work better with startups or established businesses, big brands, smaller? Who's your main customer? What's your ideal customer?
It's enterprise mostly, and who has come to looking for us since they found out that we have launched in Silicon Valley and everything, is the financial institutions. Unexpectedly, the hardest market to get into is the market that is really interested in IKA, because they have, the bigger the company, the slower it moves and the less it innovates. And it's like a big slogging machine. So IKA automates through voice. You can just automate anything that you need if you connect it to the right information. And it's particularly enticing to big corporations. So we're working with banks right now. We're working with big banks that want their services, just to be faster, basically.
So is there an opportunity with IKA and blockchain technology down the line somewhere?
Yes, absolutely, because blockchain has a UX problem, and eventually we're going to have interfaces that are three-dimensional, that are conversational, that take over any industry. So we can represent blockchain inside of IKA. And like, for example, this is the Central American Bank for Economic Integration. And it's connected to their public information and like everything that's on their website, anything that's on their public databases for transparency. And instead of going into pages and pages of PDF documents and website links, I can go like which are the projects and services that were rendered for the country of Costa Rica for 2023.
En el 2023 se desembolsaron en Costa Rica $101 millones.
$101 million in 2023. And these are the projects that they gave those $101 million to, which is this one. They spent $100,000 in this one. In 2022, we can go into the timeline to see it. All this would have taken them a month and a half to research. And IKA just knows it, basically.
So does it work with I'm really curious about not only the AI piece, but if you start going into decentralization and the finance and the identity or lack of identity, it functions there as well once you're in that banking sphere, or do you already have to have the identity nailed down and established?
All that is going to be a layer of abstraction. Users were not, as long as you have biometrics in your device, all that is going to be abstracted away. So we're not going to worry about identity because everything is going to be biometrically and signed by blockchain.
I mean, this is exciting. I mean, in some ways, it reminds me of there's a couple of platforms that I've seen with AI, and they have the various assistants. But it seems like this does more than just break off into HR, research and development, operations, customer service. This does a lot more than that. It can go deeper.
Exactly. It's the next evolution of artificial intelligence user interface. Like, it's not chatbots this is the next step.
So the nodes, you can create the nodes. And are there many different ways to create the nodes and functionalities and capabilities?
Yeah. So you can create nodes here, like node Donna. You can go into that node and you can create tasks here, like task podcast. And then like I can actually like ask it to research. Like, for example, I can go like research how to launch a successful Web3 podcast that caters to the innovation crowd in New York. With this information, generate a project with high priority for 1 month, starting next week, and assign Carlos Mats inside of sales. So I'm creating the whole prompt for it, just like that. We can go down.
Generating your project.
Then it's going to go out, and agents are going to go research what you told it to research, and with its knowledge and information. And then there you go. Week 2, set up necessary technical. Week 4. And then when it's done doing the research, it's going to start generating the actual step-by-step and the timeline.
Will it do the podcast too?
Web3 podcast launch. Tasks, subtasks, check it out. Doing everything.
Wow.
Technical setup, content creation, record episodes, edit marketing strategy, podcast launch. Check it out. It's doing everything.
Oh my goodness.
Your project has been generated.
Yep. That's it.
That was less than 60 seconds.
Yes.
So with all of this, is there something else you want to show us before we go back to?
Yeah, no, like this, showing you the product. You can go as deep as you want. The marketing strategy, you can auto-generate your marketing strategy right here, and it's going to give you all the subtasks you have to do. And then agents are actually going to help you with those subtasks to execute them.
So could a small solopreneur use something like this, or this would be unrealistic?
The base
Who's it for? Nonprofits, brand, enterprise you mentioned. But for those that are listening with other types of businesses, who can really use this like now today?
So we believe that IKA is the AGI UX because we feel like it's universal. You can basically represent anything and everything in 4 dimensions with language on top, which is our reality. That's how we interact.
Mm-hmm.
So when we have 3-dimensional buckets, and then each bucket has a timeline, has a timeline, and then on top of it, you have some stats as well, and buckets you can drag and drop. It becomes really intuitive, and you can talk to it. So it caters to any industry. You can connect it to your CRM, your ERP, your database. You can upload documents to it. You can connect your Google Drive to it. You can connect your Google Calendar to it. It's the universal interface for everything that you're going to do from now on.
That is outstanding. So it's almost quite human-like, it seems to me. It's like
Yes.
I'm stunned.
Thank you.
So everybody's worried about their jobs. They're worried about the labor and being replaced. And at the end of the day, I don't see it as being replaced. I see it as an enhancement of who you are.
Exactly.
And with that enhancement of who you are, the productivity, the quality, the functionality, and the capability changes to new levels, which recreates a different world of output, inputs, and just quality of life. So what do you see as the downside to this? Not your product, but to
artificial intelligence is, it's a tool that you can use for harm, and it's a tool that you can use for good, just like a knife. Basically, you can, do really nasty stuff with a knife, or you could also cook dinner for your family. The same way artificial intelligence can be used, in the tamest of ways, can be super destructive. Like, I just saw a video of world leaders shaking hands and then suddenly fighting, and then that was all AI generated. And you would not distinguish it from reality. If you saw that on your timeline and you saw 2 world leaders going at it inside of what would seem a very official setting, and it looks real, it looks all real, you would share it. You will be like, what's going on? And false information travels faster than real information. And also, of course, inflammatory information and polarizing information and radicalizing information, all that travels faster than actual truth. And now artificial intelligence has given us, the ultimate machine to creating any type of video and any type of audio and any type of, content that is 100% indistinguishable from actual reality. So here's where Web3 comes to the rescue, and blockchain technology comes to the rescue. Every single piece of information that you are going to be seeing in the internet, you have to immediately assume that it is false until we develop some type of way that we can sign our content that we put out in the world, signed in a very secure cryptographic way. And guess what? Blockchain is perfect for that. So I think that every content that we put out and corporations go out will have to develop a blockchain-based verification system so that we know that piece of information comes from the actual source. Otherwise, you need to assume that everything is false. So AI just facilitated that shift.
That sounds like me. A lot of times I think everything is false. I don't trust what I see. And I believe half of what I hear. And I remember somebody telling me that way back in the day. And it seems to be coming true today. So
it is already too.
When you look at what's happening with AI and your developments in your company, What type
Yeah.
of partnerships and alliances are you looking for? What really fits for you right now?
Right now, the partnerships that we're looking for are, well, number one, corporate partnerships. We always like to work with companies that have an innovation department, and IKA is perfect for the transformation of their digital strategy or digital transformation for, country, like not only company wide, but like corporation wide.
Mm-hmm.
And because we have been in the space for since before OpenAI blew up, obviously. So we actually formed IKA the day after OpenAI was uh, registered back in 2015. We were like, oh, there's going to be a shift coming because we saw the signals, and we created IKA in 2017. So 2 years after IKA OpenAI was funded, we knew that we're going to need a new type of interface for this future. We imagined 2030. Like what we did is like, okay, this is the shift that we're seeing, where everything is going to go artificial intelligence. We're going to be able to talk to it, and not only that, but screens are going to go away. Everything that you have in your hand that has a screen or a computer or a TV, all that is going to go away, because eventually we're going to have augmented reality spectacles that are fashionable, that are lightweight, and they are, a fashion statement. And as a matter of fact, like CES just a week ago was the CES of AR glasses. Like you saw a huge amount of new AR glasses that are just popping up everywhere, because we're reaching that tipping point where this technology is becoming like we are able to miniaturize all the components now, and we find new techniques of displaying information directly into your eye without the need of displaying something, bouncing off of something else, or just putting no, we're figuring it out how to put actually images into your retina. And by 2030, that's going to be our main input, of technology. You're going to see holograms.
But everyone that I have talked to and all the platforms I have either visited or used or tried to vet, I am really stunned by the functionality and the time and the efficiency and everything that it can do. And so with you having a design, technology, art, what do you think is going to end up happening with art right now, going into that space? With all the technology and AI, digital art is changing so fast as well. Where do you see that going?
So, of course, we're going to be flooded with AI slop, like we call it, which is easily shareable and generated AI images and videos that just going to cater for every single demographic, every single niche. So it's going to be a tsunami of fake AI content that's going to cater to any, type of, inclination or hobby or whatever interest that you have. You're going to have all the generated imagery from non-humans or humans that you would want. And so I think that would make human art more valuable, because it's going to be a rarity. Like it's going to be rare that you see like a painting. It's going to be way more precious. It's like, oh, this was generated by human intelligence, by human creativity. It was not trained on all the combined generations of human creativity that we have on record, and outputted something that basically was based from that. Like it was original, even though we also work that way. Like all of our inspiration, all of our creativity, all of our originality came from something before. Like artists influencing other artists, and like I know that my art has been influenced from my idols. So in a sense, like artificial intelligence works just like our brain works. They learn what has come before, and we remix it and we create new stuff, and in that process we create unique stuff. So that's basically what the AI is going to be great for. Those hallucinations that it creates can be really useful in discovering new stuff. So right now we like there's been a hell of a breakthroughs lately, because hallucinations can now predict new proteins. That's super useful for humanity. So we can create new drugs that target specific diseases or prevent them. We with AI, we just discovered we hallucinated a new way of entangling photons that don't need all the setup that we needed before. It's just like more natural and more fundamental. We're like, okay, we didn't know this, so AI is connecting the parts of the pattern that we cannot see, basically, and those are called hallucinations. It's imagining stuff. So hallucinations are great for discovery. However, AI art, I think it's going to become more and more precious because it's going to come from our organic creativity, and that's going to be more rare coming forward.
It's about time, and I'm glad you showed it to Pivoting to Web3 podcast and the audience. And it's going to probably end up on another platform as well that I'm working on. So everyone listening, good heads up, and we'll be talking to you soon. And thank you, Carlos. Thank you, Carlos Mats, for visiting us. And we're shaping tomorrow together. Thanks for checking in the Pivoting to Web3 podcast. Go to pivotingtoweb3podcast.com to download and listen, or Web3 Game Plan to check out the videos. Thank you. We're shaping tomorrow together.